All right, everyone. So welcome to the Aspen Inside Scoop. And without further ado, I will hand it over to Mark to do our demo for today.
Thanks, Jordan. So we can see my screen. This is the 2601 release of Aspen. We've got lots of good stuff here. I will do my best to call out the JIRA ticket as well as who sponsored it as I go through things. Apologies in advance if I miss something or goof up in any way. So we had lots and lots of great things this time. This will be a little less in depth than some of the videos we have done. We may go back through and record some videos for other things. But let's start talking about just an administration update. So this is nice. We are in the release notes now. Thanks to Wild as part of ticket DIS-1757, we are now able to search release notes. So if you really wanted to know for, in this case, what local ILL, what versions we worked on that in, you can now see them. You can link out to each of them. Probably then I'm just going to right click and open in a new tab so that we can see, hey, what do we do in 2508? And we can see those updates. So really nice, helpful. I've been able to search the code, but it's really nice for people that aren't running in code all of the time. So thanks to Wild for that. Next, we have a couple of, I'm going to clear that, Aspen LiDA updates. So let me switch over to LiDA. As soon as my share screen switches, present something else. All right, chat is blocking my switch view. There we go. We're going to switch over to LiDA. So we have in LiDA the new browse category design, and this was sponsored by 5 different libraries, co-sponsored. So, and it is DIS 1447. So Jordan will help me if I get them wrong, but Helen Plum, Minuteman, Swan,
CleveNet and Gail Borden.
CleveNet and Gail Borden. Thank you, Jordan. So this is the new display. This matches kind of the display of the accessible browse categories within LiDA itself. So the idea is we are displaying now for each main section displays in a list. You can then scroll across the side or the subcategories if you have them. So here we can see adult, young adult, and kids. If you have more, they would scroll more. And then you can click into any of them and see the new ones. And you get a sampling of titles, and then you can click into view more. And that will take you to search results. So good functionality there. It's really nice new functionality. Should be a lot easier for people to use. We have, so this version will release on the 20th of January. So we'd love, give us all of your impressions and feedback, that kind of thing. We can tweak as needed. So, but thank you to all of those libraries for sponsoring. We also have, if we go to our account, the list groups that Helen Plum sponsored for 2511, 2512. I need to search my release notes. Have now made their way into LiDA. So if we click into lists, we will see that we have our list groups. So here we have, in this case, we can click through here and get a list. So we can say, I did some if you likes and similar suggestions. So if you like Bridgerton, you can rename groups, move them, create new lists, create new list groups. we're playing a little bit with some of the styling for some of that. So where we put the unassigned lists and that kind of thing. So again, any feedback that you have on that, this is DIS 1471. So any feedback you have on the list groups within LiDA, please add it in there, and we will be tweaking over the next couple of weeks as we get things rolled out. But nice functionality for especially staff that have a million lists that they need to arrange. That's a LiDA. And we'll go back to Discovery. All right, so one of the big things that we've been working on with Nashville is trying to improve the performance of titles on hold and checkouts so that basically we don't need to hit the refresh button as often. So patrons don't see that refresh button. So we don't want to do that. We also have had some complaints from various e-content vendors and stuff that we're hitting APIs a lot. So we're trying to be better with the APIs. This is a big change. So we are changing how everything is cached. So we're basically keeping a copy of all of the data kind of full time within Aspen, and then updating it as needed. So we're automatically going to refresh at least every 5 minutes, all of the holds and checkouts, but also as we do things like if we just cancel a hold. So if we're canceling bed, we're going to just kind of cancel that in place. So we cancel it within the ILS and then we update immediately. So we don't have to go back to the ILS to say, yes, this was deleted. Same thing with like freezing holds, thawing holds, changing pickup locations, all of that. We're kind of dynamically synchronizing as we go to keep things up to date. This is a big change. So please do lots of testing. We'll be doing lots of testing. The more help we can get, the better. And I know our automated testing group has been working on testing all of these things. So we've got some great base tests for various ILSs, and we'll do all of the content sources as well. So the one thing we have added to make it easier to tell what is going on. So there is a new hidden kind of page. It is under my account /cache inspector. So that URL here. There's not a menu link for it because patrons probably don't need to see it. There is no like PII or anything on here. You have to be logged in to see it. But this is then showing all of the information that we have currently updated in terms of like how many things are checked out, how many things are overdue, if we think we need to reload things when it was last loaded, which we can switch to a date. So good information just about each different source so that we can see what's going on. I imagine Miranda is going to be using this page a lot. I don't know how many other people will, but it's going to be nice for telling us what is going on. Moving to the next thing. So we've had a variety of event updates. So these are all sponsored by Click/CDOC. So we've had the ability to customize the footer. So we've had the ability to add a header image. We now have the ability to add a footer. So we can say, I don't know. So we'll do that. We'll make that bold. We'll make it centered and a little bit bigger. Save that. So now when I look at my event calendar, we can see down here we get a footer that displays, and that will show up on printouts as well. We also have the ability to customize the title. So if we don't want it to be called events calendar, we could call it the events at Grove. We can choose to show the full month name in the calendar. So let's save that. And then when we refresh, the title updates and we get the full date. So those are respectively DIS-1733 for updating the footer, DIS 1706 for being able to display the full month name, and DIS 1705 for being able to update the title. Also had the request to be able to create events in the past. So in cases where the library in particular that's doing this is for close dates, they may have something that's like the library was closed, so we couldn't update the date. So here we're going to do Aspen Library. We're going to just call it a generic event. And let's create another past event. We could fill out all of the additional information we wanted, but let's just set this for New Year's Eve, say 10 a.m. to have that go for 4 hours. If this repeats, so it can also be a good way to say, I want to repeat something, but the actual start date was last year. So I want to reflect that and then have it go forward. So you can do this with repeating as well. The other thing we can do is hide start and end times for the event. So in that case, we will not show start and end times on the calendars or within the events. And that is DIS 1712. So good options there. So then that event is created in the past. Previously, you had to do everything from today forward. So nice functionality there to make the events calendar even more useful. So the next thing is Nashville again with DIS 1668. And this is related to how editions sort, specifically nonfiction titles. And we've had this for a while where we were sorting nonfiction titles to try to get the latest edition first, kind of regardless of if it was checked out or not. We found some cases where that didn't work well. So let me see if I can find a better edition. So in this case, so this is first edition. So this was shown, essentially treated as one. This didn't have an edition statement, so it was treated as blank, which then meant that the first edition always sorted first, regardless of if it was checked out or not. And we want to do that because we're trying to get patrons the latest content for nonfiction. So if you think about, like, we have travel guides, we want to make sure that all the travel guides are up to date and that we're showing the most recent one first. So we switched that, and instead of relying on what the edition number was, we switched that to publication date. So in this case, it's showing the 2020 version before 2018. Down here, where we had the editions, it was showing the 2024 before 2014. So this will also work for print titles as well as e-content that have that publication date. If they don't have the publication date, then they just won't sort by that. So we just kind of skip that check. So yeah, fun functionality there. So that was DIS 1668. The next thing we have is hero sliders and digital signage. We've been talking about this for a lot. This is one that we'll probably do a little bit more in-depth video of, just because there's a lot there to it, and more than we can go through here if we want to leave time for questions. So we have hero sliders. And the way hero sliders work is these are able to be embedded in either a website or within digital signage. I'm just going to show the website now. Essentially what we're doing is we're creating an iframe that you can embed within the digital signage. The digital signage that's being used is one that just accepts a URL that can be displayed. I forgot to mention, this is DIS 1416 sponsored by Wasatch. So thank you to them for doing this. So we're going to start by going to images. So we're going to add another image. I've got one set up here, and we're going to add another image to it. So let's add, this is going to be our perfect pages. And it's hero slider. And in this case, we're just going to leave it owned by everybody. We're going to update. We're going to load our image in. We can set alt text, page links, start and end dates. So if you were doing this in a website, you would be linking to different pages. You might have start and end dates. You don't have to, but if this is an event where you want to say, I'm going to promote this event for the next 2 months, say I've got an author coming to visit, and I don't need to promote the author after they come, we can set an end date for it. So let's save this. So here's our image in various sizes. We have calculated the aspect ratio. That is important. So the way this works is because digital signage and like hero sliders do want you to have kind of the same ratio, or else things bounce around the page as we scroll through it. You do set up your hero slider based off that aspect ratio. And you can either use a custom one or you can use some predefined ones. So, and I'll get back to that more. So we're going to go back to our local catalog enrichment, our hero sliders, and our playlists. We're going to edit the playlist I have created. We're going to add our perfect pages. These can be changed to be however, in whatever order you want. And you can have them display however long you want. So if like pause and plays is extra important and you want that to display for 10 seconds, or maybe it's got a lot of text on it that you want people to be able to read through, you can do that. So we'll save that. And then if we go to our slider, so here we give it a name. So in this case, this is useful to be like, I am displaying this slideshow for my website banner, or I'm displaying this for my homepage, or I'm displaying this on the TV as patrons walk into the library, or this is in the children's section, just so that you have a good idea of where each one is. You can choose what libraries it works for. In this case, we choose if it's a digital signage or a website. It makes some little changes to how things work in terms of scrolling and that kind of thing. So we don't display, like, we assume that the digital signage is not touch signage. So we hide some of those controls and just auto scroll through it. We can choose our aspect ratio here, which doesn't pop up, but we've got like 16:9, we've got standard, ultra wide, square, portraits, custom, and the custom I had as 512 by 215. We are choosing to auto rotate it. If our images don't have specific rotation lengths, it will give us a default. And then we choose what playlist we want to do. So this way we can easily swap out different playlists for different digital signs or different places in the website. and we're able to update them. And if we update the playlist once and it's being shown on 5 different screens, all 5 would update automatically. So let's look at this. So if we do a preview of this, we just have a large scroller. It will auto scroll. Or we can scroll them manually, so it'll wrap around. This can also be embedded on a web page. So here I've created just a custom page, put it in here as the hero image, and then added a little text at the bottom. So if we edit that, we can see we have just a custom page with a row that has a hero slider, and then another one with just markdown. If we edit this, we can see, so here we're just saying source type is a hero slider and the source is our website banner. All right, so that is hero sliders. If you wanted to embed this into a digital sign, this URL is a permanent URL, so you can just put that in your signage and it'll work just fine for you. All right, next is some hold updates. We had a few here a few things I'm not going to show. So these were specifically for Orange County, who delivers all of their titles by mail. So we had some work to do to say, like, hey, the physical materials, because nothing is being picked up at the library, we don't need the holds ready section. And as we prompt people for holds, we don't need to prompt them from where they want their pickup location. So those were changes on DIS 1724, DIS 1724 and 1734, both sponsored by Orange County. They also sponsored some usability improvements, so we're really excited to have them be doing some more usability with us. And they've been doing a lot of testing. So one of the things that they noticed and their staff and patrons noticed was when you go to the holds ready or holds pages, the messages here are great if you've never used a library before. Once you've seen this page a couple of 100 times, you don't really need to know what holds ready means and pending holds mean. It just takes up space. So we added the ability to dismiss those. And if we dismiss those, they just go away and you don't need to see them. So clean stuff up. If you want to get those back, it is in account settings and your preferences. And you can turn on show hold help messages to turn those back on. So if we save that and then go back, we will get those. So there we go. The other thing, I don't know how many people have noticed, but when we do a search, so let's just search for dog. And when you place a hold, let's just go to a book. Let's do a place hold. There is the log me out after requesting the item. If you are inside a branch, so a lot of our staff people will have this issue, it will automatically check on log me out after requesting this item, depending on your IP address. That's really annoying to staff. So what we did is say, if you are staff and you are at an IP or at an IP where the log me out would automatically be checked, then based off of your staff settings, if you have bypass automatic logout turned on, it will not check that for you. So good functionality to stop being annoyed with being logged out all the time. So definitely annoys me at times while I'm doing some dev. Couple more indexing updates. These were largely sponsored or largely brought to us by the cataloging group. So let's see if this is not the right one. Let's just do a search here. So we're just going to search for Xbox. Previously, the Xbox showed as Xbox 360. It now shows as just Xbox. If it is just an Xbox, and Xbox 360 is separate. So that's DIS 1719, DIS 1721, which I didn't prepare a demo for, is updating the series display to remove Subfield Q, and we added Subfield N. So those were all good changes. We've also made a bunch of changes. So those were collection or the catalogers group. So always a lively discussion there. If you don't go, it's always fun. We always do at least one dev out of that. Palace Project, we've got more libraries starting to use Palace Project, especially as Boundless winds down. So if we look at the indexing log, and I'm just looking at our test one, this was based off work for Swan, and it's DIS 1758. They have 52, I think, libraries using Palace Project that basically the indexing was taking like 13, 14 hours, which if we have things that are checking in and out, that's not ideal. So we did a bunch of improvements to how Palace Project is indexed. And that's doing some indexing of different collections in parallel. We are showing the setting name here now in the export log so that you can see what's going on. We so the way Palace Project works, it embeds the library ID that we are loading data from in the metadata for the title, which meant that when we indexed library A and then indexed library B, it would say, oh, the title has changed because the links were now for library B instead of library A. We recognized that difference and made Aspen be able to ignore those so that we don't have to update things as quickly or as frequently, and we still get the improvement in overall indexing speed. So that's all good stuff. Hard to show other than these numbers are going to be much, 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 much faster than they were. The other thing was we updated the collection report. So the collection report now shows additional information for each library. Here we can see, in this case, they're all using the same collection, but Aspen Library, Grove Consortium, Maple Library, how many titles we have active for each collection, how many were deleted, how many needing holds are ones that are currently checked out. I don't currently have anything checked out of this demo. So in this case, they're all none. But good information there that will, again, help us as we're doing diagnostics to make sure things are staying up to date. That's Palace Project. So again, thank you to Swan for sponsoring that one. Polaris. We now have the ability within titles on hold to be able to show canceled holds. This is Polaris specific, sponsored by Share. And so in the Polaris pack, it shows how many canceled holds you have. So all of the holds for, I think it's roughly the last month or two, it will display to you. And then there's the ability to reactivate and place a new hold for it. So nice functionality for people that have a hard time picking up their holds, or that are canceling them themselves and then want to be like, oh, I didn't read that because I was reading something else. What was it? Let me go back and find it. So Polaris specific functionality now, but we can add to additional ILSs if we can and get the data for that. So that's Polaris. Some other search things that we had. So let's go back here. So again, this is Orange County with some new search updates. So let's just do a search. I'm just doing a search for Moab. And let's set, so we'll say we want adult titles that are nonfiction and available from Hoopla. So we can see we've updated the applied filters up here to be a little more consistent with more modern design. So they're now the little pills instead of just the long link, and they have an X button instead of the do not enter sign, which was admittedly confusing and kind of surprised nobody thought about that. But those all look good now. We also have the ability to clear all, so you can clear one at a time just by clicking on them, or you can do a clear all to get rid of all of them. So that's some of the search updates. That was DIS-1755. And then some more Stripe updates, again from Orange County. So Orange County is using Stripe, so for anybody else using Stripe, this will work. Let's go to my fines. We're going to hope I can remember the test card. So we're going to just pay $1 on this last one. It's 42.42. Yeah. Okay. So we're just hooked up to their the test Stripe sandbox, so that we can pay but not really use money. So if we click to pay fines online, it will come through. And we now have the ability to link to the receipt that Stripe gives. So you can click view receipt, and that will show that we paid the Grove Demo Sandbox $1. That will also then show in the payment history. So here we can see we've got, let's go back to the payment history. So here I've got 2 payments, both of $1. I can view the receipts on those. And that is DIS 1623. So that I will show, since Miranda and Jen have been going back and forth, the Subfield Q being removed as well. What we skipped past and was DIS 1721. So, oops, let's open this in this browser. So here we have the series being indexed as just Nature's Bounty. And if we look at the staff view, Subfield here it's the 800, and it was including the Angelique D, and is not anymore. All right, that is the demo. I will stop sharing and we can switch into questions and answer mode.